Hi guys, it's Allie. So with Camp NaNoWriMo drawing to a close and with everything that I talked about in my last video about how I've been writing in this past year and how so many things have changed and I've been writing different things, I figured I was well overdue for a new writing vlog to kind of show you what my new daily writing process is like, and also just in a more general sense what my overall writing process is like now, because I think it has changed a lot in this past year, partly because I, have other obligations now that I didn't have before, and also because I have new resources now that I had before but wasn't taking full advantage of until this past year. So one thing that hasn't changed at all about my writing process is that I rely on coffee for most everything. It is kind of a ceremonial thing for me at this point where I don't have any writing rituals, I don't think, but if I had something I would call a writing ritual, it would be making my coffee in the morning. I guess something I've discovered in the past year is I like to make iced coffee with coffee ice cubes that keep my coffee stronger throughout the day, which is a-okay by me. So that is one way that my my coffee process has changed. I'm sure you're riveted. One thing that has been a really big change for me as far as my writing process in this past year is that I had to find new ways to motivate myself to write, because a lot of life things have happened in this past year. I got married, I got a new dog, I got a full-time job, so there have been a lot of things that have taken time away from writing, and not a lot of things that I was putting in to my life that would help me engage with that kind of writer part of my brain, because I was not doing YouTube, I was not really on Twitter as much anymore, and just kind of generally was not really active on social media, though I was consuming a lot of content from there. I wasn't producing a lot of content. The only person who was expecting any writing out of me was me, and I didn't have any kind of structures or schedules in place to help me keep writing. So I firmly believe that if not for this trick that I'm about to share with you, I would probably not have written anything in this past year, and I most certainly would not be coming to you now having finished an entire draft of one project, having done outlines for like 3 or 4 other projects, and being almost halfway through a second draft of my main work in progress DOS. So the biggest tip that I have is writing streams. Writing sprints on YouTube and stuff, if you have the wherewithal to do it on your own, to just look them up. There's plenty of just 20-minute timers or 25-minute timers that have some like writing music underneath. You can even just, plug a timer into Google yourself, but I find that for some reason I get more motivated if it says it's for writing. I don't know, my brain works in weird ways. But the biggest thing has been other people streaming at certain times to encourage me to write. Last NaNoWriMo, I think it was, Kate Kavanaugh started streaming on Twitch as well as on YouTube. I think she did like a little bit of both, but I started following her on Twitch, and that kind of became a part of my writing schedule for that NaNoWriMo. And that NaNoWriMo ended in a success for me, largely due to the fact that I was constantly having this kind of reminder of, oh, well, Kate is going live at such and such time, so if she's going live, then that means that I can tune in whether I'm working on work stuff, or if I'm working on writing, or if I'm just working on, like, taking the dogs outside or something like that. I had this kind of backbone of productivity that I could rely on, and I knew it was always going to happen at the same time, roughly every day or every week, every month, whatever. Now that Twitch has become such a big thing and a lot of writers are kind of coming over to Twitch, there's a lot of other great author tubers and YouTubers in general that are coming over onto Twitch. Cam from Page Nomad on YouTube, I watched a lot of his YouTube streams as well when he would do them, but he's also been kind of coming over onto Twitch, and his Twitch streams have this cool thing where you have like a little avatar at the bottom and you can like earn coins or like fight each other and there's like battle royales or boss battles that you can do, and it's like a whole little mini game that takes place. I don't know, it's just fun, and there's lots of different things that you can do, and it keeps things engaging and active while still having this kind of underlying tone of, you could be getting work done during this time, you're also welcome to just kind of chat with people. Not only is it nice to just have a community to kind of come in and be like, hey, I got like 1,000 words in, and everybody congratulates you. It's also nice to just know that there are other people on the other side of the screen that are also working on stuff. And even if they don't know what the heck you're working on, it's still just nice to know that you're all kind of within the same space. So that has been a huge productivity jump for me, and I've thought about doing my own sprints and stuff like that, but we'll see. I mean, I'm still trying to just get back into making YouTube videos, so who knows what's gonna happen there. I do think that they're absolutely great, and I will leave some of my favorite streamers linked below so that you can check them out, because it's nice and it's fun and it's so productive, at least for me. So I definitely recommend you try it if you have not yet. Another thing that has changed a lot for me in my writing process is just how I view my writing and how I view my sense of accomplishment when it comes to writing. Once upon a time, I really wanted to be published by the time I turned 25. I wanted to be a young published author, ideally traditionally published. And so I really was pushing myself to finish that fantasy book that I was working on, that I am now working on again. I was pushing myself to get it done, and anything that came in my way that maybe would suggest that the book wasn't marketable or that publishers weren't looking for a book like that was just a punch to my gut. The YA market is on the decline. YA fantasy is not doing as well as it used to. Don't write a series, write a standalone, and all of this stuff that I already kind of knew, but that when I was thinking about it in terms of my own novel, suddenly felt like I was wasting my time. And that was a dumb way to look at things, especially because it made me resent my own book. A big part of the reason why I wanted to work on different things after finishing that first draft of the DOS story was that I wanted to try to write something more marketable. And what I came up with to write that was more marketable was a YA sci-fi. Anyway, I think my brain has thoroughly told me that I am not going to be the kind of person who writes to the market. I'm not going to be the type of person who sees that such and such is popular, and so I quickly draft up something in a month that I can then shoot out and everybody will eat it up. I am 100% the type of writer who is commercially conscious. I pay attention to the trends, I pay attention to what's doing well and what's not, but I also just write what I want to write, because I know that even those stories that never get published, they're still going to be teaching me things, and they're still going to be helping me develop myself as a writer. So I've kind of given up on this whole idea, not of getting published traditionally or getting published at all, but rather just the idea of needing to be published by a certain year or needing to have a certain book be published and having something be my debut or whatever. I don't really care about that stuff as much anymore, and I found that that has really unlocked something for me as far as how I feel about my own writing and how motivated I am to continue working on something. I was recently actually watching an Alexa Dunn video where she talked about the YA market in general and how it's still pretty bad, and I fully expected myself to feel that kind of gut punch of, well, here we go, like I write almost all YA, so I guess this is never gonna work out for me or whatever. But instead it actually felt liberating, because I thought, well, if I know that now is not a great time to be querying and now is not a great time to be putting forth these kind of books, I know, first of all, that everything is cyclical and things come back. And so if something is not right now, that means I have time to get it perfect by the time that it becomes popular again. And also, if now is not a great time to be pushing myself to get something out, to be sending stuff to publishers or to be sending stuff to agents or whatever, then that means I have all the more time to really develop myself as a writer, to become a better writer, to the point where by the time I start querying, instead of having one book that I hope does well, I might have 3 or 4 books that I feel like are polished enough to be queried. That's maybe not like the best way to think about it in another time, but I think right now, for the current publishing situation as it is, and for my current situation as a writer, I think I am in a really great spot to be creating these books and polishing these books so that I can have them ready to go, and then if something happens, it happens, and if nothing ever happens, then at least I wrote a polished book. And I think I'm a better writer than I was a year ago. I think that my process has improved, I think my motivation has improved, and I think my general outlook on writing and on myself as a writer has just exponentially improved. My writing process is always changing, and I don't think I even could really consider what I have a process by any means. I just have tools and resources that I use, and they seem to work for me most of the time. At the time of filming this, Camp NaNoWriMo is not over, and I've had a couple of less than stellar writing days, so we'll see if I'm able to cross the threshold and get my 50,000 words in this project for the month of July, but if I don't, then that's fine, because I haven't actually changed much about my general writing schedule or my general writing patterns in this month. I've just been writing as I normally did, with maybe a little bit of extra motivation because I could plug in my word count at the end of the day. So if anything, this July has been a reaffirmation to myself that what I'm doing is working for me. And that's really a great thing, because I've tried lots of stuff in the past that has not worked, or has worked for a few months and then kind of fizzled out. So I'm just gonna keep on keeping on into August, and we'll see how I feel in a month, but I'm really happy with my writing process at the moment. I think it works great for where I'm at as a person and as a writer, and where my feelings are towards publishing in general, and towards finishing a book and all of these things. I do think that I'm doing a lot better now as a writer than I was a year ago, and I'm a lot more confident as a writer now than I was a year ago, which is still not saying much, because I was not confident at all before, and now I'm like, I don't hate it, which is I think for a writer is like almost conceited, but that's where I'm at, and I hope that maybe hearing somebody else say it is reaffirming to you, and I hope that maybe if any of these things you haven't thought of yourself, then maybe you might join me on a stream sometime, because I'll be on there. I'm on like a lot of them, so I will hopefully see you there, or ideally, I'll see you in my next video.